Welcome, my name is Trish. Thank you so much for joining me today. Creating the Immortal Cycle Oracle. What a profound and powerful experience. So let me share the creation of this deck with you. So over this current week, I've been put through the ringer, last couple of weeks actually, been put through the ringer with this deck with emotional upheaval, physical fatigue, and mental strain. So I just wanted to share some things that's gone into the deck, and I have had some really powerful visions and experiences while creating this, and I want to share that with you. So first of all, I want to start with some of the cards that I've created, and I'll put a couple of cards up in the thumbnail so you can have a sneak peek before it comes out. I'm expecting this deck to be released in October, so that way it is available for Canadians before the postal service shuts down. So getting into the deck and the cards that's been created so far, because of the experiences that I've been going through, I've created, now let me explain. When this first powerful energy came in, when I first created this deck, the first card that I created was called Lightweaver. This is called the card of creating and using light codes or light, bringing in light and turning it into physical, so through a creative process. Now I took that to be what I'm doing. So this is a card that was downloaded to me, and it was the first one that I created. So in my mind, that was a very powerful energy coming in to say this is the process, which is the process that I use for every deck, of creating from spirit and manifesting it or creating it into a physical form that it can be used on the physical plane. That is what I do with every deck that I create. The intention behind it is using it from spirit and creating it into a physical source that we can use the power of the spiritual in the physical form. So that's my intention, and that's what I took from that deck, that card that was being given to me on the very first card that I made. But it goes much deeper than that, as I've just discovered. So during the week, and I'll get back to that towards the end, but during the week I've been through all kind of fatigue, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, emotional fatigue. It's just been crazy, and I got a little bit down because I thought it was such a powerful experience having that guide step in to work with me with this deck. And I thought, I was looking forward to working with high beings and cosmic encounters, but what I asked for this deck was for it to be a cross between my Neptune Moon, which is my Mysteries of the Universe deck, and my signature deck, which is my practical reading deck, Everyday Things Practical Reading. So I wanted to turn this deck into something that has spiritual themes, being reincarnation and remembrance of power, and although your skills and powers and remembrance, and light codes and all kinds of things like that, has lots of powerful symbology and meanings within the book. And I wanted to transform that into an oracle deck that could be used on the physical plane for physical situations, meaning everyday situations that people go through. So as I'm sitting there in my funk thinking, okay, this is tough, this experience of creating this deck is physically and mentally exhausting for me, as well as emotionally draining for me as well, because they've been putting me through certain things, regrets from past experiences I've been reliving. And I generally am not that kind of person. I normally, let the past be the past and move on and focus on the present and towards the future. Now, I've also been getting complete depletion. So that's, of course, is a card. It's about emotional depletion. Now, where that plays back into the book, the theme of the protagonist here is somebody that is caught in a time loop, or caught in a loop of a prison of repeating situations, being that the collapsing of worlds and not wanting to repeat past mistakes. So you can see why I've been going through the different scenarios that I've been going through, trying to bring the energy of the book into physical form to be created from spiritual into physical form. So things like depletion are in the cards, emotional depletion, physical strain. I'm just going to jump back over and have a look at some of the cards that I have. Let's see if I jump down to the bottom. Okay, so regret, of course, I ran through that a fortnight ago in my video. The wound bearer, which is regret, which is some of the things I was experiencing during that fortnight, that week. Depletion is what I've been experiencing this week. Worn to essence, the card is called. Depletion, emotionally, bear with me for 1 second. Now I'm going to do a bit of reading here. So I normally wear contacts, so I don't have them in today. So I'm going to read some of the cards that I've created. Emotionally giving, burning and fading. Also weariness, mental strain, spiritual fatigue and physical burnout. So, and that's called the weight bearer. And born to the essence is the depletion. So they're some of the things I've been experiencing. Now, I asked for that to happen. I asked for this deck to be something that people could use in everyday readings. So very, very physical form on the physical plane, things that everybody experiences. So this is why I've been getting those. But I did feel a bit disheartened, and I was looking forward to all of the very powerful experiences in creating this deck. So I said to my spirit team, the high guide that's come through, I'd like to see some of the higher forms coming through now to put some of that into the deck. So I had a vision last night. In the middle of the night, I woke up to a weave pattern of codes, light codes on my ceiling in a weaved pattern. So, and I'm looking at that. And I had communication. I was having the telepathy communication as I'm looking and trying to decipher what these codes and what this weave grid pattern was on my ceiling. And then I remember I've been having these waking up in the middle of the night visions on my ceiling constantly. Maybe during the time of making this deck. And the light switch went on in my mind when I was having this communication, and I said, wow, I've been having these experiences regularly. Now, it's like probably it's under 10 over 5 times. So it's been constantly over the last few weeks. Not every night, of course, but there's been visions. Now, I've seen things from different light codes coming through. I've seen waves of like black spots on my ceiling, waves. Now, I don't know what they mean, but the funny thing is my message for this week from Spirit, because I always do the What's Your Psychic Gift, pick a card with the bonus one at the end where I always take my messages from. Now, what they've told me this week, this video will go up probably before this one here. I'll put the other one up so you can go back and check out that bonus section. Now, again, they have me on a lighter week this week when it comes to developing spiritual gift, because I'm actually working on the deck. But they want me to have an evidence manual. They want me to record my experiences. So that's what they told me. Now, I did that reading 2 days ago. So on the 19th of June, I did the pick a card reading with the bonus saying you need to do an evidence manual and start writing down some of your experiences. And now I haven't done that for years. I used to keep one always. I always had an evidence manual right from my 20s, so for 30 years. But I haven't actually been using ones lately. I've been really recording things on videos, important situations. So I thought, yeah, that's very strange. Maybe I need to make some videos about some of the experiences I've been having. So I had that intention that I was going to do that this week anyway. But what it actually meant was that I'd forgotten that I'd been waking up in the middle of the night with these visions on my ceilings about light codes and grids and all of these kind of things. Now, I'm going to show you, to explain to you some of the cards that I have created on this journey connected to light codes and light grids, and how they fit in with the book, and why I've been having that, why it's activated in me so to be able to create these cards. So this is the most profound experience so far. So here's me asking my spirit team and my high guide that's come in for something profound when they've been giving me profound experience the whole way. I have forgotten. I just didn't write it down. I didn't know. It's middle of the night. You have a quick vision and then you go back to sleep, and completely forgot until last night. The whole lot of it just come flooding back. It's like I could remember every single vision that I've had on my ceiling over the last few weeks, and I had the communication, and it's like they're communicating with me. And that's what I said. They've been communicating me through light codes, and they were relieved that I actually got the message. So I finally have woken up and got the message that they've been there all along, communicating with me these light codes as I'm creating this oracle. So what an experience this is. And this is the experience that I have with most decks, but I'm sharing the process with you on this one. Now I'm just going to explain how this is relevant. So I've got here the King's Tide, the fall of the Zirion, which was one of the planets that they come from, and the rise of new worlds suggests a cosmic restructuring. So today I'm creating a card called Grid Weaver. It's about alignment, and it's about, let me just jump over, I've created the structure of the card without the artwork. So Grid Weaver. The keyword on this card is called alignment, and it means restructuring of grids that connects all beings. So that's the card that I'm actually working on today, the art for that one, but I've done the structure of the card already. Now I just want to jump over and continue with the how this is all coming together. So this is it's like the rise of new worlds suggests a cosmic restructuring, a shift in the very fabric of reality. Light codes and codes, they represent universal blueprints, which is sacred geometry, energetic maps that hold the design of creation. Dimensional gateways, portals between realms activated by frequency and intention. Soul mission activators, downloads that awaken dormant knowledge and reconnect you to your purpose. Galactic transmissions, messages from higher beings, star systems, guiding planetary evolution. So this is the vision that I have been having, is a form of light code activation, where the subconscious is receiving information from the grid that connects all beings, especially relevant because I am working on the Oracle deck that is meant to mirror the soul architecture of the book, The Immortal Cycle. Here, this is connected to Sabria in the book, described as the one who escapes Kragoff's grasp. Now, this is a fantasy novel, and I hope I'm pronouncing these words how they're supposed to have been said, carrying the only hope to break the cycle of destruction and restore cosmic balance. She is the natural conduit for light codes, energetic blueprints, and soul mission activations, all core to the Grid Weaver's role, knowing she's not just surviving, she's transmitting, weaving, and awakening. So this is what I find very strange. They have been giving me these light code activations that I completely forgot about, and they're so important. So that very first card that they gave me, let me just change screens. The very first card that they gave me was called the Light Weaver, and I'm thinking it's just about bringing spiritual energy into practical physical form, which is what I do when I create all oracles, but it goes a little deeper than this because it's about light code activation on very profound topics of existence and restructuring and reconnecting, rebalancing. So really powerful energy that's been coming through that I wasn't aware of. I am here focusing on the physical things, the heavier side of the book, which relates more to the protagonist's experience. I've been focusing on those practical things when I've been having in my sleep visions, waking in the middle of the night, seeing the visions on my ceiling of these light codes being activated and showing me different visions there. So it's been happening. I just wasn't aware of it until last night when it all came flooding back, every vision that I've had over the last few weeks for this. So very powerful. I can feel the power in this deck and the experience, but I do want to let you know that every deck I create has a story. Every deck has an experience, but this one I'm just sharing with you as it's happening. That way, 12 months time down the track, when I've forgotten all of these experiences, because I do, it'll be something here that's recorded, so I can actually go back and think, oh yeah, that's right, that was part of that experience of creating that deck. A couple of other things that happened during the week. I did a show with Helen and Ryan, a collaboration which you'll find on this channel, and the couple of days preceding that collaboration, I was working on a card called Pattern. It's Time Cycler, I think it's called. I may have changed that name slightly, but it's all about pattern recognition and, going through certain patterns, past, present, and future. And it kind of relates to the protagonist Lucas's journey of repeating experiences to try and have a better outcome. And it's like repeating until you succeed, basically. So it's repeating or until you recognize that it's a pattern so you can deal with it. So this is what the physical form is against the book, against the experiences that I've been having. So Helen picked up that, started talking about pattern recognition, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that means something to me because I've just been reading something or doing something around pattern recognition. Maybe it's related to a card, and I went back and it was actually a card that I'd created 2 days before. The day prior, I created a card called Wielder of Flame and didn't mention it, but Ryan happened to start talking about wielding. So wielding, the word wielding. And I just the day before created a card which was a male archetype wielding a blue flame sword. So very interesting that I was given the two cards the 2 days prior to that collaboration relating to the two people. One of the other experiences that came through on creating that deck is the collaborations that I have been doing with a lot of psychics. I think it's been really interesting as part of this process because one of the experiences that I had, I started thinking about getting to know these people and knowing what background they've come in from that's led them to the situation that they're actually in now, and how their skills from the past have not been something we should regret, as skills that they've gathered along the way to put them in a position that they are now. And everybody has come from different experiences, had different jobs, some in marketing, some in myself design and photography, some in sales, it's all some in politics. They've all come from different, or writing, all come from different backgrounds which have led them to where they are today as psychic readers on YouTube. So it really builds on their character, it builds on their strengths to do what they do today. And that was one of the thoughts that was coming up to me when I was creating one of the cards. I did actually create a card for that, about your path and the skills that you gather and how important they are to where you are right now. So that's just another little interesting thing that happened. And I've actually, while I've been creating this deck, is when I've been starting to do the collaborations with other people. So I think it's hand in hand. I think I'm meant to do that. I've been meant to get out there amongst other psychics and get into their energy and learn with them and understand where they come from and their backgrounds and make it part of the decks that I'm creating. For whatever reason, Spirit has its reasons, and I think that's very powerful energy that gets infused into each card. So I'm going to end this now. This has been a lot longer than I expected it to be, but this deck, as I said, I'm expecting this one in October to be completed, but I am really excited now that I am having really beautiful experiences now. Hopefully they're finished putting me through the ringer with the that's very Australian term too, very Australian slang with that one there. But I'm hoping now that the harder energy is done and I'm now up to the light code activation, reconstruction, balancing, harmony, those kind of energies to be put into the deck now as well. Themes of love, themes of catalysts, events and things like that. So that's exciting, and that's where I'm up to with creating the Immortal Cycle Oracle. Thank you so much for joining me.